where Mauricio was getting interviewed by Chris Mannix, and he was going in. Today's topic is going to be about Bud Crawford, but I'm going to talk about this a little bit about this interview. Chris Mannix, man, went off. He went off on Mauricio and did what he was supposed to do as someone in the media who was giving the interview, asked the tough questions, and a lot of it boiled down to his anger still with Terrence Bud Crawford. And I'm talking about Mauricio Suleiman. Nowadays, he can't even hide the misery. Um, Mauricio, man, that statement has definitely aged well, man. Misery definitely needs company. Mauricio Suleiman. What's up, Charles? What's good with it? The man definitely wants just everybody, I guess, to be miserable. And I watched, like I said, I watched the Chris Mannix um, go scorch earth on Mauricio, exposing his all his inconsistencies and exposing how emotional he is as a president of the WBC. But you know what what it showed me is that Terrence Crawford is somebody who basically changed the game, man. He wasn't the guy who everybody was shouting, they wasn't shouting his name. His name wasn't in the bright lights, on the way up. They had agendas for other people to have the type of career he had and to go out on top the way he had, undefeated and being a top dog. But Bud Crawford, you know, I like the fact that the guy he set an example for the other boxers and then also showing them basically like exposing the game, exposing what the sanctioning bodies, or definitely the WBC, and just giving them an awareness of what to look out for. You know, um, that's their money. The money that they make in blood, sweat, and tears. And before somebody dig in your pockets, like his little bro Shakur Stevenson, question, man, like, what am I giving this money for? Why do you want to tax me if your belt is not on the line? And Terrence had to deal with all of that. He had to deal with the war of being with a promoter, who don't really have somewhat the best interest of him, and being biased to more other fighters on the roster than more than him when he had the talent, more talent than everybody there at Top Rank. Bob Arum wasn't really giving him, wasn't really delivering the fights that he wanted, so he left. So he dealt with the promoter situation. He's dealt with the sanctioning body situation. He's dealt with the whole network against him, man. The PBC, everybody had this agenda for all the PBC fighters to outshine it was y'all know it was PBC versus Top Rank and Matchroom, and it was just if you supported somebody who wasn't PBC, you was frowned upon and shit. You supported somebody who was Top Rank Matchroom, they're looking at you like, is you something wrong with you? And I was one of the people, man. It didn't matter what side of the street they was on, man. And we realized that the guy that was on the Top Rank side of the street was was the best out all along. And interesting how things played out, you know. And I just think that, a lot of people may not believe this, but I feel like, man, when you got a purpose, and when you put in a certain position, there's certain things you're supposed to do. And when you don't do it, man, you fall off. You fall off, things happen. And if you don't believe me, man, to further make my point, Errol Spence, man, that was a man down. That career was a complete man down. There was a lot of high hopes. I did a video on him earlier. A lot of high hopes. But 3 years now, damn near, of him being out of the ring, losing to Bud Crawford by not really doing the things that he should have done, and maybe possibly setting a better example for the other boxers that was, looking up to him. He decided to party and set a different type of example. And now he out here looking like like I said in the other video, like them Jamaicans from Bad Boy 2. So it's amazing how things turned out. And then you look at Bud, man. Bud is just at peace now, man. Undefeated record, went out on top. You know, um, stuck the middle, chunked the middle fingers up to the WBC, who was just trying to be, be snakes, man, and take advantage and be bitter, you know. And now that, and then like I said, and then too, also being someone who's, you know, took control of his career. A lot of people got taken advantage of, and basically Bud is almost like showed him a path to freedom, man. You know, what promoters you should work with, what promoters you shouldn't work with, what network to work. I mean, shoot, I mean, be honest with you, man. Before Bud Crawford, who was really rocking with Turkey Al Sheik like that? Like people didn't really. He really put him on the map like that. When Bud and Turkey Al Sheik started working together, it seemed like that really put the shit on the map. Then next thing you know, all these events, man, all these fighters is just, Riyadh season, Riyadh season, Riyadh season. But this is the guy y'all said was top ranked Toby, wrong side of the street, um, lighting the ass, and all of this stuff we've heard for years collectively. It's just like, wow, man. Um, and I just think that once people stop being bitter and settle down their emotions and shit, like Mauricio, the emotional man fans, like Spence fans, Canelo fans, y'all will really realize, like, man, this is a real G right here. This dude has been on some G shit, and you know, he just was on some gangster shit all the way through, man. You know, took control of his career, stepped on, like the face of boxing, you know, had the weight disadvantage and everything. Went up there, did it properly, and did it his way, man. And it's interesting that I've seen a lot of people, have their outrages and opinions on Bud Crawford when he not check the guy from the Pivot Podcast, but the guy from the Pivot Podcast said 100 million, you can have my soul. And oh, what's up, Haplo? Shout out to Haplo Type. Something like that, to me, is not shocking because I feel like there's more people like that than there is people like Bud Crawford. I mean, I see these type of people every day. There's some people that don't give a damn, about um their essence, man, or who they are. The very essence of how they even got here. People will give that shit up. You know, that primary spark. Like you just want to give up your essence. You know, all your integrity, your morals, just give all that up. To keep getting a check. To keep staying relevant, to keep staying in front of a camera. And or just to do whatever. Just to say I got 100 million. A lot of people, man, are just like that. And Terrence just, is somebody that, let it be clear, man. Like I don't need 100 million, man. I don't need to come back for that. I set a goal, I accomplished it. If I continue, then I'm out here just selling my soul, man. I'm just doing this shit just for. Honestly, I'll be like, why is Canelo still fighting? There's certain fighters that I feel like should have hung it up. Maybe Errol Spence probably shouldn't even come back, man. If you don't really have a passion for it, and you rather just be at the house, drinking tea and reading books now, then do that. Don't, and it just sucks that if his situation with PBC, he's being forced to, literally try to just resurrect PBC and because they definitely up out of here. They look like they up out of here. So they're trying to do a little last hoorah or whatever with this Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu. And I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. Haplo says Showtime versus HBO morphed into Top Rank versus Golden Boy, which morphed into PBC versus Top Rank, which morphed into PBC versus DAZN. Yeah, it's just been the whole situation has really exposed how divided it is in the sport, how biased and there's biases. And watching Bud Crawford's career, I just learned a lot. I've learned how there's discrepancies with fighter promoters, discrepancies with, you know, these networks, seeing how these promoters operate, seeing how these sanctioning bodies crooked with fees and allowing cheaters to still fight and keep their titles, allowing guys to lose, guys losing and still getting the title fight in the next fight. It's been a lot of stuff that has been exposed throughout this process. You know, I mean, watching the sport, watching Bud Crawford's career, seeing what he had to deal with, to where like now, man, these younger fighters, these younger boxers, they gonna be smarter, man. They're not gonna just be going for anything. They're gonna be, having these attorneys, with them. I saw the Art of War podcast that has that attorney on there. I forgot his name, but he was breaking it down. This is Shakur's attorney, Shakur Stevens' attorney. And he basically confirmed, man, that Mauricio Sulaiman basically is mentioned through the communication, through the emails, that he mentioned Bud Crawford's name, when they was talking about, he needed to pay $150,000 fee, even though his belt wasn't involved in the fight versus with Tio. And yeah, man, basically talking about, we know that he's still involved. He's close with Bud Crawford, when that should have nothing to do with your ruling or you trying to make, that's just crazy that, this guy is emotional. He's emotional that he couldn't get his way with Terrence Bud Crawford. So now he want to dig into Shakur Stevens' pockets because they close, because that's little bro. So yeah, man, it's been confirmed that Mauricio Sulaiman just completely just he just hate what God planned, man. You know, Bud Crawford going up all them weight classes and whooping Canelo, that had been God, man. Or divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. But it was spectacular. And it's just unfortunate that we keep seeing spectacular, accomplishments and spectacular performance after spectacular performance. And there is individuals that are feeling some type of way about that. Like when Shakur beat Tio, you know what? Give us $150,000 for what? because we have a belt. Because you still have my belt, and if it wasn't because of our belt, you wouldn't have any status. And that's Mauricio's stance. Because Shakur has a belt, he should just pay them the fee just off the strength of you're a WBC champion and it's marketability, because you walking around and you still a WBC champ. So therefore, whenever you fight, you need to pay us. Because in his mind, he think he's bigger than the athlete that's working their ass off to get these victories. He think he's better than that. So yeah, man, I just, I'm seeing with the move of the Zuffa boxing, people want to try to say that, Bud is taking a stand in this and the third, and he don't care about sanctioned bodies because he's trying to usher in Zuffa. If that's the case, so what? So what? I don't give a shit about the WBC because they ain't helping. They hating. They hating more than anything. Shout out to my dog, Modern King Boxing. What's up, Ronald? Right, bro. So yeah, man. It's unfortunate that this was supposed to be Spence, man. This was supposed to be Spence going out on top, but I just think that he wasn't ready. He didn't answer the call, man. He was too focused on learning dance moves, driving fast cars while intoxicated, and partying and hanging out with the wrong crowd. And we see where he got him, 3 years out of the ring, beat up really bad when he fought Terrence. And then since then, Terrence is just going, it was just crazy because, Terrence, man, It was already something when he beat up Spence as far as his status, his fame, and everything like that, and people acknowledging him. Now, it's he out of here, bro. Terrence is out of here, and that's one thing about that I have learned about boxing is that once you win in boxing, everybody fucks with you, man. Every other sport, celebrity, actor, whatever, ice skater, Olympian, everybody wants to take a picture with you. Everybody respects you, you know. And I've seen Terrence Crawford be respected from all walks of life now, man. Everybody's respecting this man, except from Mauricio and them, and all the disgruntled, misery needs company ass fanboys. But other than that, other than them little few disgruntled, percentage, everybody is giving this man his props. You know, it's just like, how can you not, bro? How can you be so much of a hater that this man put belt to ass, went undefeated, and went out on top with a big payday, man, beating Spence and Canelo. Just wild that people just, it's going to take probably generations from 15, 20 years from now, because a lot of us are just ahead of our time. But 20 years from now, the people in those generations are going to be like, what was wrong with those fools? Why didn't they get this man his props and his respect? Because they stupid, It'd be like, they was stupid, They was dumb. They didn't know what the fuck they was looking at. They just Spence got turned into a hippie. Canelo's next, Rastafarian style, man. Yeah, man, and that's the other thing. Like, that man changing people's whole lifestyle, man. Religion, everything. This man is probably doing some Hindu, or I don't know what Errol Spence is involved in now. But whatever he's involved in now, I bet you wasn't involved in it before that ass whooping. Terrence got that man on a different path, man. Y'all see these interviews? Errol is talking clear-minded. And he looked like he has found some, light at the tunnel or something like that. Like he's found bliss. Bliss to the point where he don't even need his materialism no more. The people that really make that breakthrough, and they just want to get rid of everything that they own, because they just want to go into, Tibet somewhere and just meditate all day. That's how Errol look now. Haplo says Mauricio probably lived on Epstein Island more than Epstein. Damn. He said allegedly. Never know, man. It's a weird dude. Monica King said Haplo, Mauricio looks like he be doing them island trips. Haplo say he looks like the poster boy for that shit, MKB. MKB. Only MK I know about Mortal Kombat, but MKB. Mauricio was probably like tattooed to Epstein, bossed the plane shit. Monica King said, I've never seen Errol this humble, but put belt to butt for real. Yeah, man. Blazewood District, Blazewood cul-de-sac. What's up, King? King G, the boxologist up in here. He said, I like how Chris Mannix was on his ass with them questions. Yeah, man. I was talking about that, bro. Chris Mannix, man. He was not allowing Mauricio to do all that slithery shit he do in other interviews, like trying to snake out of these questions. Nah, bro. Chris Mannix was applying flame for sure. And from here on out, man, because this guy is not making sense at all on why these extra fees are necessary. It just clearly shows that the guy is emotional, and that the guy is when he don't like something, then now he want to tax you. But he just exposing himself that the corruption of him, and I just think that, and then he kept trying to say it's not about the money. Yes, it is, fool. Like, you just be flat out lying in there in the interviews talking about, It is not about the money. You keep asking about saying the money. It is. This is what the whole issue is about, bro. You asking for sanctioning fees, dummy. You know, the more he bullshit and lie, the more he look depressed, like it's just eating him up. He's getting eaten alive, man, on the inside. Just look like his organs is just failing every time he lie. That'd be a hell of a curse. Every time you lie, your organs fail. Another organ just get more worse condition, you know. But yeah, all I'm saying is, man, stop being capped, stop lying, and every time he's tell a lie, he pick up that cup and start taking a sip of whatever's in that cup, man. I don't think it's coffee. It might be coffee, but it's mixed. The one I mix, man. So, Mauricio, man, you are full of shit and other things, to say the least, man. And you need to back up off the champ like that, man. It's over. Focus on positioning Canelo to get one of them straps again, man. Which I'm pretty sure. Actually, I don't know if he's gonna be fighting for who got the WBC. Oh, Christian and Billy, I think. So yeah, man, I don't know. Is Canelo going after Christian and Billy or somebody else in September? I don't know. So focus on that. Because if Canelo stop fucking with you, it's over with. Crawford's a class act of boxing. Good for him. Right, Haplo. Clearly, man. The whole way, man, he's been a class act, man. He just checked little Mauricio on the way out. But he's been a class act with everybody, man. He's always been respectful. He never you don't disrespect these people in these interviews. Like we seen Floyd, I no disrespect to Floyd, but it wasn't really a smooth, it wasn't just the most respectable career. Yeah, he's a hell of a fighter. One of the coldest boxers and defenders we've ever seen in history. But Floyd's career wasn't just all that, you know what I mean? In the sense of Bud was just, man, what they say, railroading through shit, man. He had to literally go get his, man. You know, um, and Floyd went and got his too, but at the same time, man, it was so much politics in place for Errol to fail. It wasn't just like, you know, I just felt like Bud had just way more shit against some promoters, governing bodies, the racial politics, just all kind of bullshit taking place, man. Wrong side of the street politics. Um, it is just wild, bro. It is just wild how they did this, man, and treated him throughout his career. And then after all of that, he's the most shiniest diamond out of the whole pile, man. Who knew Bud Crawford would come out shiner than all of them, man? Like, damn, bro. A lot of y'all just fucked up. A lot of y'all fucked up on this one, man. A lot of y'all had y'all sights on other stuff, looking at these dudes who really wasn't serious about the sport. But the homie say Canelo did not mess with him at one point. Hey, what fight was that when WBC tried to force Canelo to fight? Instead, he decided to drop the belts. That was the Jamal Charlo, bro. Yeah, they were going to force him to fight. If I'm not mistaken, that was the Jamal Charlo fight. They tried to force him to fight. And then, or no, I think they were trying to force him to fight Triple G, if I'm not mistaken. And then that's when they started, bending over. That was when they started spreading cheeks for Canelo. That was when because he said, well, fuck the belt. Because I think they was trying to force him to fight Triple G. And that's when they, he went on a little, because I'm trying to think, did he have the belt when he beat Kirkland and them guys like that, Amir Khan? Because he was doing them shits at catchweights. I think he did have a belt. Monty King said, we like Earl, but he ain't making his career cemented. It's like Wilder, just a little better to maybe get A 9 for Hall of Fame. Nah, I mean, I wouldn't. I ain't trying to hate on him, but I don't know about that Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't know. They might put him in there. But I'll tell you one thing. He better hope Keith don't pass him up, bro. There's a possibility that Chief Keith Thurman, bro, will pass your ass up, bro. Hey, look, now I give it to you. He was unified. He had 3 belts at welterweight, Errol that is. But man, Keith was unified too. Y'all never fought. You said I ain't never fighting Keith. Keith lame. Cool. You don't want to fight Keith. Now if Keith fucks around and beats Fundora, I got the Keith. If y'all trying to say Errol get in the hall with just winning in one, being unified one weight class, then I'm put Keith in there for being a 2 division champ. So yeah, man, that nigga gonna be sick if Keith beats Fundora, man, in April or whenever they get ready to fight. But yeah, man, he might try to come out of retirement for that, get that fade. He might not get past Tim Tszyu though if he take that fight in the summer. Homie say Haplo said Mauricio got a lazy eye and nostril. Oh man, he always look constipated and bothered, you know, under the influence. Errol don't want that Thurman smoke. Yeah, obviously he said that shit. Keith lame. That's his excuse though, bro. He say Keith is lame. I'll never fight Keith. So I don't know, man. Is he content going, ending his career knowing that Keith got a better career than him? So we'll find out, man. Keith got a good chance of beating Fundora. I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he whoop Fundora ass, man. I don't like that. That's some bullshit. 6'5" and you at 154 pounds. You need to jump off of. Never mind. That's some bullshit though, man. I want. Yeah, go ahead and get Fundora the fuck out of the division, man, and let him really go up to the weight class that he's healthy at. This motherfucker be malnourishing himself down to 54, man, to try to compete. Like, this is weak shit. And y'all want to talk about weight bullies. Fundora is the biggest weight bully in boxing, bro. You know, long ass Dawson arms. And he in there just being a bony dude in there, man, swinging on people. Unless you're talking about the weed they smoke during the flute lessons. Monica say a lot of folks don't know when LWC was starting to hate Crawford, he reached out to me on X and asked me why they hated him in a sense. I explained back then we got your back in these forums. That's Texas. Yeah, I mean, shit. Spence had a heavy support out of Texas and out of Texas too. People were supporting him. I think some people on the East Coast, uh, what you call it, maybe Midwest or something. I don't know. But all I do know is, yeah, man, the niggas was not fucking with Bud Crawford, man. Dude was not fucking with no Bud Crawford. I seen the journey. I'm like, oh, y'all niggas, bro. It'd be our own, bro. Like I mean, the Hispanic community didn't start hating on Bud Crawford until this Canelo fight, you know, happened. But before that, it was all Spence supporters and PBC supporters. I was just like, this is diabolical. I don't doubt Al Heyman prevented Thurman from fighting. It's a terrible matchup for Errol. Thurman was a company man, ruined his career. Damn. You think so? I would block that. That is a mega fight. Well, at that time. At that time, that was probably one of the biggest fights in boxing. Yeah, I think that was the biggest fight in boxing at one time. Keith and Errol. This is before, Bud came up to welterweight. But with Keith and Errol, if that would have happened, man, that would have been the biggest fight in boxing. Only thing that would have trumped that would have been AJ and Wilder, because I think at the time AJ and Wilder had straps too. When those fights could have happened, those were like the 2 big fights that was on the horizon at the same time. I think at one point. He said, issue is not true boxing fans. That's my reality on what Crawford had to go through as a pure pro boxer. It's crazy UDC flame true media over everybody. Yeah, bro. The pure ones got to go through the most. Bruce Gas up in here, man. Salute, brother. Shout out to Bruce Gas. They were still building Errol. Imagine if he lost, he only had one belt at that time. At the time, are you talking about if they would make the unification? And man, that fight was so hot though. Everybody was asking for that fight. And then people were saying Keith, because Keith, he did have the little weak injury shit. I was flaming Keith too. Like Keith was acting like at one point like he didn't want to fight. He had a little injury situation. And then once Keith came back and was ready for the fight, Earl was like, "Nah, I ain't never fight him." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Man, these PBC niggas, bro. All the good fights, they were just, I was just like, not only are, they're not going to fight people across the street or on their street. It's just like, Kiss is dumb." I had some good jokes you skipped, but I forget. Oh, you had some good jokes? My bad. No, I saw the lazy eye in nostrils. Oh, he said Spencer taking flu lessons from Keith Thurman in Tibet. Yeah, man, something. Yeah, I was talking about that last video. It's a total transformation, bro. Complete. He said, "How you brag about flying through windshield and land on your face?" Right, he did brag about that shit. That's what I said, man. That Matrix movie was right. Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, man, bounced out concrete, all that. I said, "Oh no, we gotta, we have to do better, better in the culture." But yeah, man, true boxing enthusiasts love the fisticuffs. Shout out to Curtis Anderson, boxing knowledge, gone but never forgotten. Yeah, man. Shout out to Bruce Gas. So you got the trivia tonight. Got some hard questions. Okay. What time, man? I know he's West Coast time. All right, make sure I don't skip no. I know I got like 3 or 4 of my people. Y'all hit the like button up in here, man. 3 or 4, y'all. 1 hour, 10 minutes. Okay, for sure. So that would be 6 o'clock Central Time. Bruce is East? I thought he was on the West. Oh, I'm tripping. I thought Bruce was on the West, bro. If Earl loses, Q says if Earl loses to Tim, his legacy takes a major hit. He already flimsy. Yeah, man. That'll be rough, bro, if he does lose to Tim. But I think that Tim has a very good chance, bro. A very good chance of winning this fight, bro, because of just the activity. He been getting his ass beat lately, but just off activity level, Tim has a good chance, bro. But I'm rooting for Errol Spence. I like the ideal thing, that I would hope was that Errol would, take this fight, whoop Tim Tszyu ass, and retire, man. Retire. I don't want to see him after this, man. Like, it's nothing else to prove. What else does whatever, man. With that type of time that he took off and the beating that he took from Bud, man, it is get one more good fight, farewell, and get out the way, man. But I did say in my prediction video that if Errol comes into this fight with the Bad Boy 2, Jamaican look, he gonna lose, bro. You gotta cut the shit off. You have to get your shit faded, edged up, clean cut. If not, you're gonna get your ass whooped. That's my prediction. But who knows? If he does go in there with the Bob Marley shit and win, I'll be like, God, you back. You're back. Keep it. You're back. Earl should stay retired like he's been since Bud. Really, the curb retired his teeth. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, man. That was definitely, man, tough work, man. He says, I live on the Atlantic Ocean, can't get more east than that without getting wet. Damn, my bad, Bruce. This whole time I'm thinking like, oh, this is my another Cali, wishful thinking. Another Cali homie. Well, yeah, man. Shout out to the he said he off the Atlantic Ocean. What would that be? I only know about the Pacific, so shout out to Atlantic Ocean, community. Shoot, don't get forced. Arrow health is better, champ. Arrow going back and forth with Mel. Let them two fight for farewell payday. Man, that is not no real beef. Like, he needs to get in there. Like, if that fight happens, I just think that that'll be a scripted type of shit. Like, they're not gonna really try to fight. They're not gonna entertain us. They're gonna really be in there on some WWE. But Tim Zoo is really gonna try to hurt Earl. So I'll believe that fight. You know, Tim Zoo can't afford another loss. Cannot. You know, and the little guys going up in weight have been on. They're winning right now, man. If y'all haven't noticed, these guys that are going up in weight, they are in a trajectory. They are winning right now. So, well, the good ones are. So, we'll see. We'll see if this momentum continues, man. Errol's going up 54, hoping to be successful versus Tim Zoo. We'll see. I think that's the best we can hope for. He says, oh, Rhode Island. Okay. Shout out to my Rhode Island partner, homie, Bruce Gas. Worley fighting Daniel. Yeah, man. I saw that. I saw that Bruce Gas Worley fighting Daniel Dubois. My thing is, like, why does this man Daniel Dubois keep being at the front of the line to get these title fights? Like, bro, I'm just not a fan of dudes getting losses and just getting going immediately to a title fight. Like, don't you get dropped down a few slots? Like, how do you get into the next champ? Like, that don't make sense to me, bro. That don't make sense. Matter of fact, he had fought for the IBF. He won the IBF when he fought, I think was that Hergovich? Yeah, Philip Hergovich. And then he defended it versus did he defend it versus Miller? Defended it versus Miller, AJ, and got stopped versus Usyk, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, like you lost the IBF. How do you get a rewarded with a WBO shot? Like, what is going on? You know? That's the only thing about, and WBO is usually pretty good. So I'm a little confused about that move right there. Like, how does this man get an opportunity at a title, man? Already. Are you talking about Franchon Cruz, Ronald? You excited about that? Yeah, man. I mean, make a good little tune up, I think, for Carissa. Franchon too big and slow, I think that for Carissa. I'm not, respect to her. I'm not shitting on her, but nobody wanted to see that fight, bro. I just best of luck to and then they friends. So it's just like I feel the same way about that fight as them saying the Jamel and Errol Spence. Like, hey, come on, man. If y'all fight, cool. We'll stream it or whatever. But ain't nobody wanted to see that. You would think he would want an easy fight coming back from a KO loss, but he going right into the fire. Yeah, Bruce Gas. I was talking about that earlier, like, or it could be forced. What if Al say, hey, I need you to get in there. We struggling. So we need no tune-ups. We ain't got the time. Get in there. Who knows, man? But Errol did say he's a big fish. So get in there with the sharks, I guess. I didn't believe Crawford could beat Canelo at first, but when you think about Achilles from Troy, that's Crawford in modern times standing on top of Mount Rushmore, greatness witnessed. My homie bringing historical references in this piece, man. Yeah, man. But it's something like that, man. I think it's gonna be a while. Like I say, it's gonna probably be 3 or 4 more empires ahead or something like that before they realize, like, man, that who was that? Who's that man? The one they call Terrence. Who is Terrence Crawford? They're gonna probably have different accents at that time. They're gonna be like, man, whoever this man was, he was historical, you know. He does some historical stuff. People just don't really appreciate it. And they say that I think that's kind of been the theme, the rolling theme in each generation. It's always a great in each generation, and every each time a great comes through, nobody appreciates it. You know, they go against it, man. You know, they say that about the Christ or whatever, and any other type of leader or Messiah or something like that. You know, when there's somebody great that comes through, and I'm not saying he a Messiah or nothing like that. I'm just saying like he's a good example, role model. But every time it's a great, it's always people go against them, you know, or her or whatever. It's just like they can't just appreciate it just because they don't understand it or they don't can't comprehend like how's this being done. Fucked around and won in 5 weight classes, 3-time undisputed. People don't even understand how it got done. He just did that shit, and next thing you know, he chunked deuce and retired. They were like, wait a minute, he retired. Well, damn, that does make sense. But 40-something fights, he fucking just went out and like beating the fuck out of Errol Spence and styling on Canelo. So yeah, I guess that's about right. Got a big bag of turkey out of sheep. What else who's out there? Ain't nobody else really out there and nothing to prove. You know, so just the man smoothly has a cold legacy, man, and went out unblemished. And another thing before I get out of here, I noticed that like, with Bud Crawford, like he seems like he's at peace. I noticed that too when I look at like Andre Ward. Like when I look at some of these guys who were fortunate enough to get out of their sport before the sport retired them or started really started to sinking his teeth in these opponent in these boxers, as I would like to say. Like that's happened to a lot of these athletes. But Andre Ward and Bud Crawford, they got in and got out, and they got what they needed to get out of the sport. And I think that's a good example, man. Do what you got to do, set a goal, work hard. It may be 30 fights, it might be two division champ, it might be one time undisputed, it could be unified champ, whatever it is, set the goal and then get out the way and then retire on your own terms and be smart. And I think that, people be loving to put so much emphasis on Floyd's career, how he did it. Like I said before, smart investments. I'm just truly, truly blessed. Floyd loves to go into that bag, but you know, I think that Bud Crawford, his catalog and his portfolio can be definitely looked into as far as making the smart investments. I think his real estate portfolio is definitely a deep catalog. I think that he has, and then his appetite for attention and flash is not on the level of a Floyd. We've seen that face of boxing where, or that guy, who was at the top of the sport who always want to show off his fucking, bricks of money and show off his new watches and show off this new chick he with or show off this and show off that. Bud Crawford's not doing that. Bud Crawford is showing like, look, man, you can go about your business. You can stay being who the hell you are. You ain't got to compromise. You ain't got to sell out. You can just do you, handle your business, and then when you done, get out the way, you know? And if once you accomplish your goals, it ain't nothing to hang around for longer. Just get out the way after you handle your business. And that's what he's showing, man. And then live the rest of your life. Enjoy your kids. Enjoy having your sanity, being able to conduct yourself and talk well in these interviews and go podcast to podcast and enjoy your life. The man gets to enjoy his life. Are y'all subscribed to the man's YouTube channel? The man is enjoying his life. He's going country to country, and people are appreciating this man. Treating him like a goddamn king when he shows up, man. And that's where you want to get to. These other athletes like Shakur or whoever else is following the footsteps, I felt like they have a new, put it like this. He's basically knocked Floyd, I feel, out of the equation in a sense. Like, yeah, everybody wanted to be like Floyd. Now people looking at Bud. They looking at how Bud doing it. You see Shakur, he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna go up and wait and try to prove it because I know it's gonna just take me to another level. And it did. He challenged himself, went up to another level. He knew it was gonna be a bag, and he knew that it was gonna be worth it. The reward was gonna be the legacy, shiny ring belt, bragging rights, you know, and people just giving you your props. So I just felt like this guy really shifted the focus um, of a lot of the younger boxers to where they looking up to Terrence Bud Crawford now. You know, when they need some help, they calling Bud Crawford now. You know, and it ain't all about just trying to hang around with Floyd just because I want to be in the company of Floyd. It's just like no, let me get around this man so I can figure out get some knowledge from this man and figure out how I can take my career to another level. That's what Terrence is around for, and he's still young enough to where he has the attitude, the temperament, and the energy to still be able to teach these guys, get in the ring with them if he need to, show them certain things, hold the mitts, whatever. So I just think it's a perfect time for Terrence to just end his career on top like that, and to be able to help guide the next generations of the athletes in the sport, man. A few more comments, y'all. Let me get out of here. In other news, Latier Coyote and Seth Mitchell coming back too. That's about as excited as I am about Arrow. Seth Mitchell. I remember Seth Mitchell. I don't know who the other guy is. Latier Coyote. Kidding, obviously, but they're not. Illustrating the point that I could give a fuck about Arrow returning. Said Floyd loves showing off the cards that broke him. Yeah, you know, he loved, his appetite has just been it's just, he just has a unquenchable thirst for just material. He's never satisfied. Mountain King says Crawford has no reason to come back. He's the trendsetter, showing everyone how to retire when you did even extra credit as a pound for pound great. Right. He overachieved, what he wanted to accomplish. So he really gave us more than what, I'm saying, he had actually planned, as far as the entertainment and electrifying performances. So I appreciate the guy for giving us, that many fights. I remember Gladiator for their importance and great skills, memories over ego driven asshole. So, like I said on this side, man, Flame of Fame to Terrence Bud Crawford. You're a great man and you did it your way. True role model and a great man for the sport, man. So, yeah, that's all I got for this one, man. I'm on to the next, man. Catch y'all on the next video.